Do you want to lose weight but struggle to stay committed to a meal plan because you constantly feel hungry? Does food provide you with comfort when you are bored, angry, lonely, or sad? If so, you are in the right place. My name is Kristen Jones, and I'm a life coach specializing in emotional eating and weight loss, and I'm also a lifelong emotional eater. I want to provide you with information, motivation, and support so you too can learn to manage your issues with food and develop a healthy relationship with yourself. Welcome to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. Okay, welcome everyone to the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Podcast. My name is Kristen Jones, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's episode, the episode is entitled "The One Shocking Thing That You Might Be Doing That Is Keeping You from Losing Weight." And in today's episode, you're going to learn how chronically restricting calories over the course of time can slow your metabolism and will prevent you from losing weight. You'll also learn how brilliant your body is at keeping you alive. Isn't that a good thing? And even if that means it will keep you at a weight that you might not want to be at. And lastly, the one thing that you must do that is probably the hardest thing to do in order to jumpstart your weight loss and get the scale moving in the right direction. So I am coming to you again, as I always do, live from the Breakthrough Emotional Eating Facebook group. And if you aren't a member and you're listening to this on the podcast, I would love for you to be a part of the group. So if you would go to www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough, you absolutely join the group and be a part of the incredibly supportive and encouraging and motivating community that we have. Just so many awesome individuals who are there to support each other through managing emotional eating, as well as taking on the struggles and the successes of losing weight. So as I always do with each of my podcasts, I'm going to do a little member shout out today. We actually do two member shout outs because I have a guest with me today. Gina Burch is one of our members and one of my clients, and she's going to be joining us today. But I also want to do a member shout out, and I want to recognize Dawn. And Dawn, if you've been in the group, you've seen Dawn has been going through a transformation over the last about 8.5 weeks. And she started on May 5th. And over the course of that time, she has lost 17 pounds and 18 3/4 inches all over her body. But more importantly, Dawn has found renewed energy. She is able to play with her grandkids. She's able to, she does a thing called Granny Camp, where she has all of her grandkids, which I am in awe of her because I can't imagine having all of her grandkids over at the same time. But she runs Granny Camp. The theme this year is Harry Potter, and they're going to be doing all sorts of Quidditch and that sort of thing. But she runs a camp where she has her grandkids, and she is ready for that experience and to be able to have all the energy that she needs and all of the have all that energy for her grandkids. And she really is a testament to hard work and persistence. So Dawn, I'm so proud of you, and I have so enjoyed working with you. So thank you for sharing what you've shared with me, with the portion of your life with me. So I really appreciate that. And I love having you as a part of the group. So to today's episode, today's episode is such a kind of a head scratcher for people, because it doesn't necessarily make sense why you might be doing this and why you wouldn't be losing weight. So let me backtrack and let me introduce to you my friend Gina. And Gina is coming to us from, I'm in California. Gina is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we have been working together since about the middle of March, towards the end of March. And I'm going to let Gina kind of tell you a little bit about how we came about to meet each other and how we started working together and what prompted you to reach out to me. So Gina, welcome to the podcast, and share with everybody, how did we hook up?
Hey everybody. It's great to be here today. I want to congratulate Dawn too on your journey and your progress. That's amazing. So before I met Kristen, like February, March, I was a snacker, snacked all day long. I would get up, I'd eat breakfast right away not because I'm hungry. I never thought about that. Just because it's breakfast time, I'd eat because it's lunchtime and dinner time and snack time. And I had all this extra weight on me. And to give you an example of how it made me feel, in February, I think, I went to a high school basketball game. I have a 17-year-old son. I came home from work. I stuffed myself into a pair of jeans. You know how good that feels. Put on a little t-shirt and put on a bulky sweatshirt over it because, it was February. It still gets chilly in Myrtle Beach. So I go to the basketball game and it is packed with people and it is so hot in there. And I refuse to take that sweatshirt off, because you're going to see my bulging stomach over my jeans, and my jeans are too tight, and my shirt even might go up in the back. So I'm embarrassed and very self-conscious. And my friend is sitting beside me, and she took her jacket off, and she's like, Gina, aren't you hot? And I'm like, nope. And there's sweat on my face and I am, so feel so awkward and so uncomfortable. And I just have to sit there and suck it up and burn up because I'm so embarrassed to take my top off. So that's where I start, so I'm not real healthy physically at that point. Mentally, we just went through that. So I'm not really thinking healthily. I have no confidence. I get up in the morning, I put an outfit on for work. I have to change it because I don't like the way I look. It's affecting my life. So I get on Facebook and I don't know, I think I just saw Kristen Jones, or I might have seen Breakthrough Emotional Eating. And I was like, because I've done all these diets. The most recent diet I did was, I think, Whole30, and I gained weight on it, and I went to doctors and something's wrong with me. I can't drop weight, Oh, and I guess I should mention those big jars of cashews at Sam's Club or Costco. Yeah, I'm going through at least one of those a week. That's part of my snack because, nuts are healthy for you. If you have like this much, I'm eating this much. So, I started following Kristen on Facebook. And then I got my tax refund and I was like, you know what, I pay to go, to exercise, work out with a trainer, and I am going to invest in this issue of emotional eating that I've had like forever, like since I was 10 or younger. So yeah. That's how we got together.
Yeah. And you had done, if I remember, you had done my mindless eating
challenge,
challenge. And you actually, I remember when we got together and we talked, you had mentioned that you had actually lost weight because that was a 5-day challenge, and you actually had started losing weight because of what we were doing. And then we talked on the phone. So I think by the time we started, you were already like 5 pounds down from following what we had done in the group. So yeah.
No, that was awesome. I started drinking more water. I waited to eat until I was hungry. Turns out that's about 11 a.m. and it fluctuates on different days. So that's one thing I do now. I wait till I'm hungry. I drink water in the morning.
Yeah. And I remember I actually came across, I was looking up some of my old posts with some of the mindless eating posts. And I found the post that you wrote that said, oh my gosh, Kristen, I didn't eat until 11 o'clock. Who would have known that I was actually hungry? I wasn't hungry until then. And I remember how surprised you were that you actually could wake up in the morning, drink some water, and you didn't need to eat anything, that you actually could get through until much later in the morning.
Yep. True story. And then the other thing was the first time I ate sitting at the table without distractions. I had no idea that somewhere along the line in my life, because growing up we sat at a table with no distractions, that I felt like I had to be entertained while I ate. Right. My eating spot was on the sofa with the TV on, or the laptop, or on social media on my phone. And when I sat there, that was about the longest 20 minutes, 30 minutes of my life. And when my son came in, I was like, well, thank God I could talk to somebody.
I remember you told me that. That was so funny. You were like, don't leave, Ryan, stay here.
Right. I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. So So what are some of the areas that you've kind of learned about, or you've changed kind of as we've worked together? What are some of the areas in your life that you have kind of learned different things, or like I'd like to say, what are the game changers? What are the things that you've learned that are important for you to do in order to be losing weight and to move in the direction that you want to move in?
Okay, I drink a ton of water. I mean, I have these all day long. I now eat when I'm hungry. That's a brand new concept to me. It seems reasonable, not something I did. I'm not a snacker. I remember the first time I went into Sam's Club and I saw the big jar of cashews, and my brain said, "Oh, you don't eat those anymore. You're not a snacker."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, where did that come from? But so there's been a shift mentally.
Mm-hmm.
We took a look at, I got like at a plateau and I got stuck a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And one time what we found out was I was eating too much fat and too much protein, because somewhere I got the idea that, oh, I need to do like a keto plan, or, and eat bacon and pesto sauce and, all this fattening stuff. And, we switched that and I added carbs, which scared me. That word scared me. It's like, oh no, no carbs. And I guess it's just what I read. But we added even potatoes, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, more vegetables, and it helped me to lose some weight.
Mm-hmm.
What else do? I do Pilates 2 to 3 times a week. So I've been staying active. So I feel stronger, and I'm down 14 pounds, and I'd like to lose about another 10. And Kristen's going to bring this up, but one of the big game changers, because we talked, I think, about 3 weeks in a row, and usually I take all our suggestions, and we don't just talk about food, we talk about life. Like when I get overwhelmed, I started snacking again. And it was just like, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was overwhelmed, and I said, oh, I'm going to cut up this cantaloupe, and I'm eating the whole thing. And it's not like, fruit's healthy, but it was the behavior, that it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and wasn't part of my plan that I wrote down, and I'm just eating this cantaloupe. So we talked about tools and what I can do when I am overwhelmed. I could go take a walk, I could read, I could take a bath, I could do some kind of self-care instead of eating. So I'll get back to this point. So I started using my Fitness Pal, and that's how we found out about, all the fat and the protein. And then we started looking at calories, and I was like, well, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight. I'm eating 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. On the weekends, sometimes 900, what's going on here? And Kristen made this suggestion that I had to increase my calories to 1,300 or 1,400 calories a day. And I mean, I know I heard her say that, but in my mind, I went back to my Fitness Pal and I continued to keep my calories at 1,000 to 1,200. And it's like, I was going to, that made sense to me, that the lower I go, the lower my weight will go. And so the second week she said, I really think you need let's look at your calories. And I'd look back, 890, 1050. And she's like, so she took out the 1,400. She's like, we really need to get this up to like 1,300. And I don't know. And my brain said, I'm not sure she knows, what she's talking about here. I mean, I know she does. And I've committed to this coaching, and I've taken all her other suggestions, and they worked. And so, a second week I did nothing, and I'm like, nah, I'm up a pound, and then finally, I have a friend in my life who's a mentor or sponsor, and Kristen said, you might want to see what she says about this. And she said, Gina, she said, she might know what she's talking about. You might want to actually do this. And I don't think 1,000 or 1,200 calories is enough. So finally, I'm like, I surrendered. And I'm like, okay. And I'm adding food in. And so I upped it, and I dropped weight. And it's like, I was doing, it's the definition of insanity. I was doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And I have somebody here who has experience, and I've trusted her on everything else, but I had such a mental block that, oh no, more calories means more weight,
Right.
and that's not, it wasn't true, but it took
Yeah.
me a minute to learn that.
Well, and we did it very gradually. I mean, I would tell you, like, just add a little bit. And even from the time when you were taking in like 1,000, 950, that kind of thing, I'd say, well, just bring it up to 1,100. And let's it was baby steps. It was just very, very small increments, because I didn't want to shock you. And I think the other piece, the other thing I didn't have you, that I asked you not to do, was when we increased calories, I asked you not to weigh yourself.
Yeah.
And to not, because that can completely throw somebody off in a sense of you see this, if you're keeping track of it, you're like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And oftentimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does. Your body just has to get used to it. And sometimes you drink more water or something happens. And, but no, I will never forget getting the text from you saying, I can hear your voice. Kristen, we might want to add some, or I mean, saying, come on, Gina, we might add some calories. And she's like, I could hear your voice, and I knew it was the right thing to do. But that was so, I think, and that's, I think, what really important, it's an important point to make, is that intellectually, it doesn't make any sense. But the way our bodies work, and that's the thing that's super cool about our bodies, is our bodies really, they're there, our bodies and our brain, it's there to keep us alive. And so when anyone, when you consistently and over time consistently keep your calories low, your body's metabolism, regardless of how much you're exercising, if you keep lowering those calories, your body slows down, you get more tired. It's going to conserve energy in order for you to be able to survive. And so, and I am definitely not a person ordinarily who ever has clients keep track of calories, but when there's a plateau, that's usually because I knew that Gina was being really, really good. And I kept thinking, what is going on? And then finally I was like, okay, we need to find out how many calories she's eating, because I think there's something going on. So, yeah, but really it's just gradually, you've just gradually been your weight's been coming down because of doing that, because of that whole process of just gradually keeping the calories where they need to be. But also you've also added your exercise back in. You've done your Pilates, and you're adding that back in. And how many days a week are you working with your trainer? Three. Ooh, yeah. And how have you seen, I just, on a side note, how have you seen the change when you were, because for a while we were just watching what you were eating and you weren't working with the trainer. How has it changed since you started working with the trainer?
Well, I feel stronger, and my body's changed. The way my clothes fit have changed. I've dropped the weight, but also I think the stuff is moving around, and now when I'm in a plank and I look down, I could see muscles in my legs.
Right.
And I'll tell you a little bit what's changed, like from February till now. This past weekend, I went to a tennis tournament, and my son was playing in it in Belton, South Carolina, which is near Anderson or Clemson. You might have heard of that. And both my son and I have had COVID. That's why we were out in public with people. We're done with it. And so we go to this tennis tournament, and it's hotter than anything out there. It's hotter than Myrtle Beach because there's no ocean breeze. And I put on this little spaghetti strap top and a pair of shorts that I haven't worn in probably 5 years. And I put sunscreen on, and I go out to the tennis courts, and I felt a sense of gratitude for Kristen and the program and where I was at, because I felt like I had this freedom. I wasn't thinking about, I didn't squeeze myself into a pair of shorts or have to go buy new ones because I didn't have any that fit. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm so uncomfortable, or, oh, look at that cute person over there who's thinner than I am. Or, I was present for my son to play tennis. I was like there for tennis. I wasn't so in my head about how I look and how I feel and all self-conscious, like I was a few months before at that basketball game. I just had this sense of freedom, like I'm just out here, and I get the same thing like on the beach. I don't feel, I mean, we go to the beach, I don't feel like I have to lay flat so that my stomach, stays down. I could like get up and go walk and go in the ocean now. And that, that's just somebody like me who had an emotional eating issue. That's the way my thought process is. I don't think normal people who eat normally have that thought process, like I'm just going to stay in this chair and not move because of the way I look or the way I feel about how I look.
Yeah. Yeah. When you texted me on Saturday, it was like, that got me. That was wonderful. And I appreciate you sharing that story and sharing it with me. That meant so much to me. So you really, tell me, or if you can tell the one obviously one thing you've learned, you'll never drop your calories lower again. You're now not afraid to eat. You're not afraid to eat. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you had been afraid of carbs, that the idea when I proposed a potato, I think your eyes popped out like, really? I can eat a potato? I mean, I remember you being so surprised by that. So it sounds like it's really, you now kind of have like a blueprint to move forward.
I do. And I eat a much more like variety of food. I mean, I was eating pretty much the same thing every day and, staying the same or gaining weight. Mm-hmm. And now, I can mix it up and I can go places and I can, we have outdoor eating and I could go to a restaurant and, and there's more options for me. Right. Where I just felt so limited before and what I was doing wasn't working for me. Mm-hmm. And one other thing I did right from the beginning is, when I started the program, there's a contract that I printed out and signed it. And I put that on my bathroom mirror and I read it. And it's about, taking care of myself, loving myself, knowing that I have value and I'm worth this. And one of the key things is talking to myself. So my self-talk is like I'm talking to a small child. Because I would never say such hurtful, shameful things to a small child that I was saying to myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Well, Gina, I can't even thank you enough for coming on and really, and I think if I had gotten on and just said, yeah, y'all need to eat more calories, I think people would have been like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. So I appreciate you coming on and really illustrating the point about the need to be able to, you have to look at what you're eating and that there is the possibility that sometimes people do go too far in the other extreme, and even trying it just your body will start to refuse to let that weight come off. So we always need to be conscious and aware. But I loved what you said about the variety and being able to eat more things. I mean, you and I have talked, we talk every Friday afternoon, and a lot of times on Fridays, like you'll go out with the girls from work and usually you go home, but a lot of times you'll go out and I'll ask you what you ate. Like you tell me that like you had this salmon salad and this big, it sounds wonderful. And I love the fact that you can go out and eat with your coworkers and everything is, and your weight just, everything keeps going the way it's supposed to go. So that's just wonderful. Well, I love working with you. I love continuing to work with you. And I appreciate you coming on and being a part of the podcast. It's so exciting and fun. So for everybody else, as you're listening, thank you so much for joining Gina and I today. And really what I would, if you're not a member of the Breakthrough community, if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you're not a member, please come to, go to Facebook, www.facebook.com/groups/food breakthrough and join our group filled with amazing people like Gina and Dawn and all the people in the group who are super supportive of each other as we battle, we deal with the emotional eating, we deal with, losing weight on our weight loss journeys, sharing that with each other. definitely come and be a part of our community. And if you're in the breakthrough community and anything that Gina's talked about, if there's anything that is of that kind of has sparked something in you, if you ever want to reach out to me, send me a PM, you know where I am. But also take advantage of everything that we do in the group. As Gina said, Gina was in a mindless eating challenge and started losing weight before we started working together. So if you've been in the training that we did this week, the Think Your Way Thin training this week, there's so many things that are available to you that I want you to take advantage of. And I really want you to use the resources that we have in the group to get yourself started on your weight loss journey. And just know that we're all here to support each other. So again, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast as well as in the group. And we will see you all next week for our next podcast episode. And Gina, thank you again for joining us. And I will talk to you this afternoon. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great rest of your day.